Think about the last time someone got in your head during a competition, that is. Did you crumble under pressure or rise to meet the challenge? Lack of mental prep often costs victories. Today, I'm challenging you, and that's you plural, to see sports differently beyond physical contests or mental battles that determine winners and losers. We'll explore how elite athletes use verbal tactics against opponents, how champions mentally prepare, and practical techniques for developing unshakable mental toughness. From strategic intimidation to focus techniques, visualization to emotional control, you'll discover the psychological game constantly happening beneath the surface. We deep dive, no surface level here, and how mastering it transform performance. When mind games break athletes. Let me tell you about the time Larry Bird told his defender exactly how he was going to score on him. And guess what? He did it anyway. That is psychological warfare at its finest. Woo, so good. And so deaf. You know, most athletes think sports is all about who's faster, who's stronger, who jumps higher, you know, the physical stuff, but you be dead wrong. The mental game decides winners and losers way more often than most people realize or want to admit. Two athletes with identical physical skills will have completely different outcomes based on who's mentally tougher. That's sports reality, not a secret. Even the pros, guys making millions upon millions upon millions who played the game their entire lives, can completely fall apart when someone gets in their head. Remember the bad boy Pistons. They were masters of physical basketball until Jordan figured out their psychological weakness. Once he started attacking their mental game instead of their defense, those Piston teams crumbled, and they're sore losers too. From the hardwood to the tennis court, the same mental pitfalls await even the most talented. Nick Kyrgios has all the physical tools to be a champion. Incredible serve, check. Amazing touch, check. Athletic as anyone on tour, check. But one heckle or trash talk and suddenly he's arguing with the crowd, breaking rackets, and completely losing focus on the actual match. The science behind this is fascinating. It really is. When someone trash talks you, your brain processes it like a physical attack. Amygdala. Yeah, your amygdala. Essentially, your brain smoke alarm. It doesn't distinguish much between I'm gonna punch you and you're going to choke like always. Both trigger that fight or flight response, flooding your system with stress hormones. Your fine motor skills, decision making, and focus all take a massive hit. Your attention shifts from make the shot to I'll show this jerk, or what if they're actually right? This emotion-driven focus destroys performance. World-class athletes completely forget basic fundamentals they've practiced thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times because someone got under their skin. Not literally. Studies show that nearly 60% of championship losses involve critical mental errors in the final moments. J.R. Smith's mental collapse in 2018 NBA Finals when he forgot to score, shoot the ball. It likely cost the Cleveland Cavaliers a championship. Roberto Baggio's missed penalty in the 1994 World Cup. You remember that? I do. Wasn't from lack of skill. No. The psychological pressure broke his mental process. Golf showcased this perfectly all the freaking time. The famous yips when pro golfers suddenly can't make simple putts. It's entirely mental. These athletes have practiced these motions perfectly for decades upon decades, some probably centuries. But the psychological warfare their own mind wages against them destroys their performance. But here's where it gets interesting. Seriously. The absolute greatest champions actually welcome this pressure. Michael Jordan fed on trash talk. Muhammad Ali turned psychological pressure into fuel and used it. Tom Brady gets more focused, more determined when defenders taunt him. The most mentally tough competitors have trained their minds to use psychological warfare as a performance enhancer. Try banning that. When someone tries to break them mentally, they flip the script and use that energy to reach levels they couldn't access otherwise. You're helping them out. Mental armor building. The secret weapon separating champions from challengers isn't hidden in their training regimen or genetic makeup. It's something far more deliberate. What if I told you that Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, and Tom Brady, wait for it, all practice specific mental techniques as rigorously as their physical skills? Their psychological preparation created an armor so strong that attempts to break them mentally actually became fuel for their dominance. Yeah, elite athletes forge their mental armor through deliberate practice, just as they build physical strength. Consider how much time athletes dedicate to perfecting jump shots or building muscle, compared to how little most invest in training their minds for psychological battles. The imbalance in preparation creates the dividing line between greatness and mediocrity. Building mental armor demands the same dedication as physical training. You wouldn't expect to bench press 300 pounds without consistently weight training, would you? So why expect to handle intense psychological pressure without specific mental exercises? This involves implementing concrete techniques that strengthen psychological resilience over time. Vigilation serves as the cornerstone of this mental arsenal. When Cristiano Ronaldo steps onto the pitch, wait for it. All right, he's on now. He's already played the game dozens upon dozens of times in his mind, including how he'll respond when defenders trash talk him or when crowds turn hostile. During the 2016 Euro final, despite being injured early, Ronaldo's mental preparation allowed him to become a sideline coach, demonstrating how his visualization extended beyond personal performance to team success. And yes, that's my happy dance. Watch Serena Williams during critical match points, and you'll hear her strategic self-talk during her 2015 French Open. While battling illness and losing the second set, Williams repeated, "I will fight before each serve." Let me repeat that. I will fight before each serve. This internal dialogue worked as an immediate mental reset, transforming potential distractions into performance fuel to burn. The athletes who remain unfazed by pressure employ specific emotional regulation techniques, control breathing patterns that lower heart rates during high stress moments, and anchoring specific physical actions to peak performance statuses and states. I like statuses better. You can keep the states. Tom Brady's methodical breathing routine between plays and Super Bowl comebacks illustrates this mastery, maintaining his optimal performance zone regardless of mountain pressure. Pre-performance, try saying that 1,000 times fast, will you? Pre-performance routines provide another layer of mental protection. These aren't superstitions, but carefully designed mental safe zones creating control and predictability in high pressure environments. When everything feels chaotic, these routines offer a psychological home base. You're recentering yourself. The real challenge comes in applying these techniques when someone actively tries to break you mentally during competition. What truly distinguishes elite performers is their preparation for psychological warfare. Yeah, I said it. Their preparation for psychological warfare of competition. The second critical component is developing a mental early warning detect system. Warning, 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 warning. This is about recognizing exactly when your focus starts to slip or negative thoughts begin to creep in. Close that door. Most athletes only notice they're mentally off track when their performance has already crashed and burned, like realizing you're speeding only after seeing the police flashing lights in your rearview mirror. How's that gonna help? But, just become attuned to subtle cues. And maybe, just maybe, your breathing pattern changes or your self-talk turns negative. You can catch that mental slippage before it affects, and that's affect with an A, your performance, before it affects your performance. Once you sense the shift, a rapid mental reset is your next line of defense. Think of this as your mental emergency brake. Yeah, I always wanted to do that. Think of this as your mental emergency brake. You know, a 5 to 10 second process that returns you to your performance zone. For some athletes, it's controlled breathing. Once again, control breathing, control breathing. For others, it might be touching their wristband or specific visualization. The key is having a reliable practice routine that works specifically for you. I ain't telling you mine, because it only works for me. Find a routine that works specifically for you. You, plural. Champions practice responding to verbal attacks by transforming them into performance triggers. They flip the script. When they trash talk, that's my cue to elevate my game. This is ignoring the psychological attack. It is weaponizing it. Remember when Michael Jordan's opponent, Gary Payton, claimed he found MJ's weakness? I had to take a moment because I do remember it. I just didn't believe it. Jordan watched the interview, laughed, and dropped 38 points in the next game. Real talk, no cap, all real in 4K. The trash talk became his trigger for excellence. When you've trained your mind with the same intensity as your body, psychological warfare stops being a threat and becomes an opportunity. You know. What's really amazing about the mental game in sports? Mental training works. The research is crystal clear. Yeah, it is. Elite athletes like Tom Brady and Simone Biles use sports psychologists to sharpen their edge. They recognize it's essential. With a lowercase e. Want to start the day? Say yes. Okay, try visualization. Create a vivid mental image of your perfect performance. Engage all of your senses to make it feel real. Ooh, it's gotta feel real. Consistent practice builds mental resilience. Yeah, it does. The secret isn't avoiding pressure. Nah, it's training your mind to transform it into fuel. What mental image will you create to power your next victory? And that's a question. Seriously. Remember, when someone tries to get in your head, your mental training becomes an advantage.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.